What's a big no-no while coding? Thinking you'll remember what the variable temp1 was for, when you revisit the code 6 months later. This is also true for digital artists working with multiple layers. I've started forcing myself to name layers after what they actually depict, armor shading, skin tone, etc., because having a complicated picture with many layers named temp1, miscellaneous and layer 1 copy 2 doesn't work when you put a piece down for a few days and come back to it wondering where the hell to even begin. You mean 6 minutes later? If. Big brain, write one method that does this and pass all of the conditions as parameters. Bigger brain, flatten arrow code. Okay, I'm gonna confess to my crimes. What methods would you guys recommend to prevent this pattern, because I fuck this up on the regular when I hit a wall. This isn't my industry or profession, but the technical aspect exists in my field and it's my dummy's way of addressing nested bundles. If naming your variables A, B, C and so on, you'll never remember what they actually are. And not using comments. Single letter variable work for local variables whose life is only a few lines. Otherwise, yeah, give them real names. But it's the only to stop hackers from working out how my code works. The above was a genuine reason given to me by a guy I worked with, only for a short time, for obvious reasons. He was only doing some stuff for us using Lua, all fairly easy and non-critical, which meant there wasn't even a type specified for each variable. You had to hunt through the code to see how A was being used to get any kind of context about it. Being inconsistent with coding style. I use Allman style for indentation and I don't shit on people who use K and R style. But please don't use a mix of both in your code, it looks so horrifyingly out of place. Just fucking choose one. I just use whatever my IDE's formatter prefers. This. For me, the single most important aspect of maintainable code is consistency. It doesn't matter that your solution isn't perfect, or an abstraction doesn't work 100% of the time, as long as you stick to it. That makes it so much easier to refactor later on when you actually need to. Stop trying hide jokes and Easter eggs in your comments when your code doesn't even work yet. You aren't being clever, you're just wasting time. Dumbass at work tried to be cute by creating an Easter egg that caused an unhandled exception. Luckily, he even failed at creating a decent Easter egg and it was caught in QA. Fun and witty commit messages on the other hand are a good way to have a bit of a laugh. Copy-pasting someone's code into your file and leaving that code in there because it works, even though you have no idea how that code works at all. Ha ha ha, there are gonna be a lot of people feeling personally insulted over this one. But I'll come back to it and go through it to make sure I understand what it does. Later. Issuing a pull request to the main branch while leaving in a console.log. Why the fuck isn't this working? Console.log penis. I find these pretty funny when I see them. I know it's a waste of time and all, but it's still funny. Doing one giant fucking commit at the end of the project instead of the 100 you should have done. As soon as you've fixed a single bug or added a single new feature, build and commit. Write a commit comment with the ticket number and a brief description of what it does. Much easier to code review or replicate similar changes in the future when the changes are in a check-in by themselves. Honest question, when starting a new project or function or something that requires a lot of code to get the bare minimum running, is it okay to wait to commit until the code actually does something? Then adding regular commits when working on the finer details of the code? This is what I do, but I don't have enough experience coding in a group to know proper etiquette. This does result in there being one big commit, and many smaller ones later, but I feel like preliminary commits don't change much because the functionality of the code doesn't change until it runs anyway. Nesting curly brackets to the point your indentation exceeds the screen. Use early exit logic instead. Also got classes / functions that have several responsibilities, so it's difficult to follow how it's used, how it works, what was meant, how to adjust it, etc. Also got classes/functions that have several responsibilities are yes, context in Android development. New methods are free. I was told early in my career to keep methods to 8 lines or less. It's more of a guideline than a rule, but it really did help me reduce the complexity of my logic in some cases. Peeing in bottles. The bathroom is like 7 feet away, Phil. Yeah, but the drinks are in the kitchen like 40 feet away. Edit. Holy shit, my first award and it's for piss drinking. Cheers you/spooksy. R/suspiciously specific. Shotgunning every array/string manipulation method in a massive return statement with a nested ternary operator. You're not smart, it's just annoying to read. It's also really difficult to find what piece of that line is wrong if it ever breaks. New lines are free, break it up and log it. Guilty as charged. Not bothering to properly comment because you'll always know what/why you did it, and if some idiot in the future can't figure it out, it's their problem. The idiot in the future you're commenting for is you. The flip side of this is commenting every line and just repeating what it does. Write comments explaining why you are doing it. I never put comments in code. The tests are the documentation these days. Forget to save the code you started writing at 2 AM and took you 3 hours. Yikes. The muscle memory in my fingers hit Ctrl+S every 60 seconds automatically in every task I do, haha. The old Ctrl+S nervous tick. Annoying but saves you millions. Leaving an image of your dick you converted into ASCII in a comment, next to your phone number. There's a story behind this. Please elaborate. Humor. There's not worse place for humor than code. Yes, there should only be anger in code. Years ago, a programmer at the company where I worked wrote an error message that said something like "file not found." Hoo-hoo-ha. He said that error should never occur, so it was funny. Well, that error did occur in a customer's site and the customer screamed at the company president for it, who then called a meeting and screamed at all us the developers. Nothing is funny when writing software that tracks large amounts of money. Not having it planned on paper before beginning. Carpenters have measure twice, cut once. Programmers have think twice, write once. I find this advice bizarre. And I've hardly ever done it in my 20 years of commercial programming. I generally refine my code till it's how I want it. Edit. I do however plan on paper, but it's pictures, diagrams, not code, and only when doing something algorithmic. Using Notepad. I'll use Word instead then. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.